Can you just let me know when we're good to go? Fabulous. Great. Okay, thanks so much. Everybody, welcome to the third instalment of Wednesday Working Lunch with Weston College, with the North Somerset Enterprise Agency, and also the Weston Chamber of Commerce. So please make sure that you use the chat box today. So Joe from Weston College, Joe Smith, he'll be controlling the chat box and making sure that we get your questions answered, etc. So just to give you a bit of background, we've decided to start doing this throughout June and July, again, with our partners, just to bring people together actually at this time and gather information and provide information in regards to what's going on out there. So, and as I can see from the people that have joined today, you know, we've got people from all over the country. So just to give a little bit of background about Weston. So the screen you're seeing here, that is the picture of our lovely, wonderful, beautiful beach on a nice sunny day. And then Weston College, and I know Dave shared this last week, but we've been on a bit of a journey here at Weston College, and we've done some major investment in some infrastructure over the past couple of years. And we work really closely with industry. So everything that we've built and all the provision that we deliver has been in partnership with industry and in alignment with industry. And I think, you know, what we've got coming up over these next couple of years is our next challenge, and making sure that actually everything that we do throughout the college is supporting our local businesses and the business that we work with and have done for many years. So we, again, quite a few accolades that we're really proud of, and you know, as a lot of you know, they don't come without the good work that's put into it. So I think the one that we're most pleased about at the moment, so I'm definitely going to have to get this slide changed, but the Investors in People Golden Champion status, we've got platinum. So this week we got platinum, so that is something we're really proud of, and we will make sure that we amend very, very quickly. So looking ahead, so today's session, okay, so looking ahead to plan your future workforce. So how this session is going to go, what we're going to do is, in a minute, Emma, who is just our absolutely fantastic marketing apprentice, is going to launch the polls. So there's a series of questions that are going to come up on your screen that we would like you to answer. So they are yes or no questions, and what we can do is we can record the polls, and we'll make sure that the data comes out to you after. But what these questions are going to ascertain is the impact of COVID-19 that's had on your working practices, how you do business, and your opinions regarding future workforces. So after we've done that, we have got some fantastic guest speakers today. So we've got the lovely Becca from Wessex Water, who is going to talk about what is going on at Wessex Water at the moment and their very unique approach to apprenticeships. Then we have Eloquent Technologies. So we've got David, Scott and Chris, who have again taken a different approach when it comes to their future workforce and have been really supportive in regards to industry placements. So we're going to let these guest speakers tell their story and hopefully provide you guys with some amazing inspiration. And then finally, I've been collecting some data, and what I'm going to share with you is some trending industry requests. So here at Weston College, we work with over 2,500 employers. So that's locally and nationally. And I'm just going to share some data with you all in regards to what industry is asking us and asking for the support that we can offer. And there's some really interesting insights there that we'd like to share with you all. So moving on, what do you think? So Emma, if possible, please could you start launching the polls? And again, guys, please let me know if you can't see the polls. So the first question should have been launched there. So Emma, how many people have answered so far?
Got about 40 people that have answered now.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so we'll give it a little bit more time to let people put their vote in.
Thank you very much. And again, guys, if you've got any problems, you can put it in the chat to us and we can have a look if you can't see it. So again, Emma, what are you seeing?
So 100% of people have said that they are going to do things differently and adopt new ways of working.
Yeah.
And it's about a 50-50 split for whether your organisation is anchored to a physical workspace.
Okay, that's really interesting. Really, really interesting. Okay, can you launch the second poll? Brilliant. Thank you very much. So Emma, have we got any? How many people have answered so far?
So we've got about 43 people who have answered. So the first question is looking about 79% of people have said yes. And
sorry, what was that first question again?
Has your organisation determined the kinds of work that will shift to virtual on a temporary or permanent basis? 79% of people have said yes and 21% have said no.
Okay.
And 100% of people have revisited their approach to on-site client events and meetings.
Okay, yeah, that's not surprising, is it? Not surprising, but really interesting there. Do we have 100% of people that have answered yet?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Great. Do you want to launch the third poll for us, please? Thank you very much. Third and final, may I add? Great, Emma. How many replies have we had so far?
We're almost there. I think there's a couple more people just putting theirs in now.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so the first question was, have you thought about the ways in which you are going to maintain a talent pipeline even though you may not be hiring? 78% of people said yes.
Sorry,
7% no.
Sorry, 70 what percent said yes?
78% said yes.
Yeah, okay.
And 22% said no.
Okay.
And then the second question was, are you ensuring that you are maintaining and elevating your brand during this time? 90% of people said yes and 10% said no.
Okay, that's really interesting. Great. And again, that question there about brand, what we're finding through a lot of our conversations and communications is that actually how organisations handle COVID and post-COVID is going to be really, really key for the future. And I know through these Wednesday working, these sessions that we're going to be delivering, we have got somebody who's going to come on and talk specifically about brand. So Emma, that's great. Thank you so much. So what we'll do, everybody, is we'll make sure that we save and share those polls with you after the session has finished today. So moving on, Becca, can I please hand over to you?
You can when I unmute myself. Hi everybody, I am Becca from Wessex Water. I'm the Early Careers Manager. Lauren and Dave from Western asked me if I would come in and just speak a little bit about our approach to apprenticeships. Lauren used the word unique. I like the word trailblazer, if you want to, if you would. Unique. We are quite unique as well. So we're going to do a little bit about our approach to our apprenticeships. I'm going to touch upon the impact of COVID, because I know obviously it's a hot kind of topic at the moment, but I also want to kind of step outside of that COVID and just look at how have we planned our future talent, and what does that look like kind of going forward. So I think probably one thing to know about the water industry is that we work in 5-year strategies. So we have 5-year plans called AMPs. So we're very much led by kind of 5-year plans. So if we can go on to our approach of apprenticeships, so we were very much strategically driven. Back in, actually, it was 2015, so pre-levy, we did a piece of research which looked at our workforce and helped us to workforce plan. And it came kind of 3 key things came out of that. And actually, I think they're relevant for most engineering businesses, not all businesses, but definitely for most engineering, is that we've got an aging workforce. We have very limited industry awareness. And therefore, because of that, we had very few people under the age of 25 in the business. You know, my one line always is, nobody leaves school saying, I'd really like to be a leakage inspector. I mean, I don't know why, yeah, but it's not that one thing that everybody wants, and that's kind of what we wanted to shift in that direction. So we kind of started to look at a strategy back in 2016, and then of course that was at the time of the apprenticeship levy coming in, and the way that we've handled that levy is that we've developed kind of 3 different types of apprenticeship within the business. So we have what we call entry apprentices, and they are brand new to the business, so they're not necessarily young, but they've never worked in the water industry before. And they will come in. We usually do an annual intake for our technical apprentices. We usually take on 45. It has reduced this year to 30, potentially because of the impact of COVID as well as other kind of factors. And those entry apprentices come in as apprentices. They are very much supported in the business. They are given defined training programs, and they move through their kind of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, depending on which program it is. And then we have apprentice improvers. So our entry apprentices are issued fixed term contracts. Towards the end of their apprenticeship, so anybody that's in the final third of their apprenticeship can move on to what we call an apprentice improver. And that's where they move from being an entry apprentice into a full-time role, but there's still all of that support in place. They're still working through their apprenticeship program, and actually what that does is that feeds really well into the endpoint assessment, which is very much about independent working. So it's very much getting them ready for that as well. And then we have the concept of what we call CDAs, which are our career development apprentices. And I noticed there's some on the call. So I've seen Jim, I know Jorgen's around, yeah. Hi guys. And those career development apprentices are people who are already in the business, and we are using the apprenticeship model to develop their skills and knowledge in specific areas. So some of those colleagues are on leadership and management programs. Some of those colleagues are on technical programs like civil engineering apprenticeships, business admin apprenticeships, and those kind of things as well. At our peak, we had 23 different apprenticeship programs running across the business, or people on 23 different standards. So there's quite a lot. We have about 220 apprentices at any one time. They keep me on my toes. And so the only reason it works is because of partnership. And the one thing that we wanted to do at Wessex was take ownership of our apprentices. They are our apprentices, and it is our job to put the support in place and to push the colleges in the direction we need them to go in to service our needs. So we've very much built the programs that we have together. We've done a lot of that with Western. Western are our primary provider, although we do use other ones as well. But Western are our primary provider. We've developed a lot of programs together. So we don't take something that's off the peg. We take that apprenticeship standard, we sit down, we have working groups, we get our technical managers involved, we get some of the past apprentices involved, and we say, how is this going to work? And how do we create something that is fit for us as a business? It is easier as a large employer. We do carry a little bit more weight, I guess, because of the numbers that we're dealing with. But actually what I've seen at Western particularly is they're keen to do that because they want to make sure you're getting the right training for the business. Now, the flip side of that is actually we wanted to do joint delivery as well. So we're very pleased to announce that we have recently been approved to go onto the register of approved training providers. And from September this year, in partnership with Western, we will be co-delivering at least 2 of our apprenticeships. So all of that together has meant that we've looked at our strategy, we've looked at where our gaps are, and I'm going to cover with you kind of our future talent pipeline and how we've achieved it. But the impact of doing that piece of work and the actions that followed meant that actually we now have, and we've seen an increase in the number of 25-year-olds in the business, and that's actually a 330% increase in the number of under 25s in the business. We are very keen that our apprentices are not revolving door. We keep 92% of the ones that finish. And actually I did a piece of work the other day, and over 10 years, so some of our apprenticeship programs are 10 years long, we still have 96%, so we can't goddamn get rid of them once we've got them. And actually what it's meant, in some of our teams, we have a 0 external recruitment requirement. So in terms of cost savings, in terms of gaps where positions aren't filled, in some of our teams, we have that down to 0 because it's the apprenticeship model that is being used to succession plan and to fill those roles as and when they become available. COVID has had an impact, as I said. We normally take apprentices on, start them in August, do our recruitment. Lauren, can we go on to the next slide? Thank you. But it has had an impact. It's had an impact on our current apprentices, so our 2019-20. We have been in a very lucky position as a key industry that we haven't made any of our apprentices furloughed, although we have done some pure study with some of them because of social distancing and support and vehicles. That's kind of the approach that we've adopted. But I go back to it for us. What has been key for us is the partnership involved. And as I said, we work with quite a few providers, and Western for us has been the most responsive. So we're going back to that partnership model. We've increased contact. We have an early careers advisor who supports the apprentices. So we've increased that contact, and Western have come in and done virtual learning. That has been new for the apprentices, young and old, to try and get their heads around, but they're starting to acclimatise to that way of working. In some of our programmes, we've worked, because we are key workers, a lot of our managers have said, actually, do you know what, this isn't the time to take time out to do workshops and things like that. So we've actually then sat down with the college and said, well, how do we reschedule all of this to make it work for us as a business? And they've allowed us to do that and have that flexibility. So we knew that the virtual learning was working. We knew that we normally take apprentices into the business in kind of late summer, early autumn. And our CEO, Colin Skellett, was keen that still happened, COVID or no COVID, as the man said. So we started to then look at our recruitment. We have to have the apprentices. They are our succession plan. It is about reputation. We actually start to advertise our apprenticeships in October, November for the following September. The reason we do that is because that coincides with university applications. So we open it in October and we run all the way through to March, which coincides with those young people that suddenly realise they haven't got anything to do at the end of the summer, and they do their last minute applications. So we kind of gather everybody. We have about 350 applications. But we still needed to shortlist those, and we still needed to do some form of assessment centre. And I have to say, I know Jane's on the call. Jane Dean has been has been fantastic in helping us administer that process, keeping in contact with the candidates, all of those kind of things, just to make sure that actually, do you know what, our reputation stays up there as an employer, as well as working in partnership with the college. And we've actually taken a view to do virtual assessments. So we came up with, and this is a snapshot beneath of the assessments that our candidates would see. Normally we'd have a big workshop. It would last a whole day. There'd be 60 candidates in there. There'd be probably 40 or so assessors in there. It was absolute chaos. I absolutely loved it. But obviously that wasn't possible this year. So we looked at virtual assessments, and they can go into these, and there's some that are, you know, the electrical mechanical. If you were being very serious, you might call that a test. I like to use the term quiz, you know, but it is very, very exam-y, which is fine because that is perfect for those apprentices. Our utilities apprenticeship is very much more around people skills and team skills. So that's what we've looked at. It's like, watch this video, tell us which person you wanted to be in the video and why. Here's a terribly organized workshop, tell us the risks, tell us what problems you can see, and all those kind of things, just to try and get kind of some process from it. So next will be online interviews. I know I've been working with Thatcher's Cider about how to carry those out. They've already done theirs, so we're taking some top tips from Emma over at Thatcher's on how we can do that. And then now we're looking forward to 2021 delivery, and what does that look like? And we have been talking with our providers about, well, let's go back to this partnership. What does it look like? Yeah, can we front load all of the academic training? So instead of 1 day a week, are we saying, well, actually, let's get it all done September to January so we can protect those people. They're not out in the business. And then as social distancing relaxes, we can start to get them sharing vans, being out on site. It's quite hard to train somebody on a practical job when you can't be more than 2 meters, or you can't be closer than 2 meters. So we've been looking at all of those things. Also, obviously, virtual learning and also traineeships as well. Western, I think, are one of the few local providers that can offer that. So for us, it was about looking at that whole thing. Has COVID had an impact? Yes. Has it reduced our numbers? It probably will, because of the social distancing aspect. But Colin from the off was like, this mustn't impact on our talent pipeline. Lauren, go on the next page. Next slide. Oh, you see, that was seamless. Yeah. So, you know, apprentices are an investment. They are not a quick win. They are not an easy win, but they have longevity, and they have competence and sustainability. So we planned our workforce. We took the strategy and the research that was done back in 2015, and we took our data as it stands this year, and we did some analysis on that data. We looked at what kind of replacement model, and we looked at some projections. I'm going to talk you through that in a second. But the flip side was, you know, we know what people we need. Where are we going to find them? How are we going to engage that talent? So we looked at our engagement offer, we looked at work experience, and we looked at partner initiatives. And I'll quickly look at those after we've done our workforce planning. So, Lauren, you've got to keep up on this one. I am not going to talk you through all of this, but this is what we wanted. So we took 3 specific elements of our data. Next slide, Lauren. Yeah, we took our potential retirees, so everybody, so this was just for one program, this was for water process, it's a 3-year course. Most of, on average, looking at our data, our operators retire when they're 64, 65. So we looked at our potential retirees. Then we also looked at our average leavers and our average movers. So our leavers are people that leave the business, and movers are those people who move or get promoted or move into a different area. And our replacement model was taking those numbers. We want 50% of that replacement to be apprentices, and we want 50% of that to be experienced staff. So some of those adverts will go out to the normal community, and some of those positions will be changed into apprenticeships and advertised and filled through the apprenticeship model. So what did that leave us with? Well, just to complicate things, Wessex Water is regional, and then it has local regions of north, south and west. And then some of the roles are regional, and some north is different to other norths. They'd like to keep me on my toes. So we've got our regional, And then we also have our work streams. So this is just an example of what we took from that data. So we've taken that data and analysed it. So we can now say, I'm going to take the jetting example, it's at the top, that we know in 2020 we are likely to need 2 people in the jetting team. Yep. We know that they are potentially in the north, and we know that because we only want to replace 50%, we need 1 apprentice in the north in our jetting team this year. In 2023, we're going to need 2. Well, we're going to need 2.5. So we might opt for 3 and hope we get 2. But it just gives us something to work with and some kind of guidance so we can advertise the right number of positions. We've got that plan going forwards. We can start to recruit in October because we know how many we're going to need the following year. So there's a whole process behind it. Was it a meaty task to do? Absolutely. Has it been time well spent? Absolutely. Yeah, definitely worth us doing. So actually, yeah, go on, Lauren, flip over to the next slide. There we go. So actually what we now have is a 5-year plan by region and by work stream. And this is just one. I think I've done this now for about 7 or 8 different departments. So we can look and say, what are we going to need next year? And can we prepare for that? What it doesn't take into account is our work commitments. So in terms of peaks and troughs, that will be the next stage. But at the moment, we're just working on this. But we found that it's really kind of fundamental to us getting our apprenticeship programme correct and giving those apprentices full-time opportunities when they have finished their apprenticeship with Wessex Water. So that's how we know who we want or what we want, and this is how have we decided where to find them. And I guess I go back to partnership again. So don't reinvent the wheel. There are loads of different connectors out there. We have quite a good networking approach. We work with the Careers and Enterprise Company. We're a cornerstone employer for Heart of the Southwest. We work very closely with the Apprenticeship Ambassador Networks, both the Young Ambassador Network, and I guess I sit on the what would be called the old Ambassador Network. I think they try and say it's employer, but they mean old person. Ambassador Network. And then we tie in with our LEPs as well, job centres, the Gatsby Foundation, for those of you that are involved in engineering. If you've not come across it, we say have a look at there's some invaluable information on the Gatsby pages around engaging with education. And working with all of those people has helped us pull together a career engagement offer. So this is what we share with schools. We have big networks, and we kind of pull it all together and say, well, actually, as a school, what do you want from us? Do you want us to come to you? And if so, is that on a technical level or an employability level? As a school, do you want to come out and visit some of our sites and see what it's really like? We have to educate careers advisors and teachers on what the water industry is like because they don't understand it. To be fair, I've been at Wessex 5 years. I'm not sure I understand it either. But I think for me, that's been crucial for us to build our reputation, to get into contact with the schools, to build those relationships with the schools. Again, it's about partnership with them as well. Schools are very protective of their young people, and they won't refer if they don't know you and if they don't trust you. And so we've spent a long time kind of pulling those two things together. So that engagement offer, along with all of those networking opportunities, and using the college as well, whether that's Western College or our other college, Bridgewater and Taunton, University of Kent, we pull them all in together and say, help us find these young people. And what it means is that we do have on average about 350, 400 applicants each year, and we do take on around it will be 30 this year, but historically it's been around 40. So it is probably a different approach, I think, the way that we run our programs. I'm happy to share any best practice that you want to, or you'd like to know more about, and take it forward from there if anybody's got any questions.
Brilliant, Becca. Yes, we definitely have a few questions in the chat box. So Joe, could you let us know what the questions are, please?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for that, Becca. Really appreciate your input. Ian's asked a question around, do you find flexibility and a blended approach to be the way forward? And would you recommend other companies follow this approach?
Absolutely. It's worked for us. I'm not sure if it has the same abilities in a smaller business, but I think it's probably something that it's worth exploring and working with your provider to say, actually, what is it and where isn't it working, and can we do it differently? It's worked for us. It works for this new generation of young people coming through as well. Not all our apprentices are young, but for those millennials and the Gen Zs, we need to have something that appeals to their kind of learning styles and their approach to life as well.
Brilliant. Thank you. It's obviously working for you with the 330% increase in under 25. Yeah. It's a great statistic. So Ray Stewart's asked a question as well, if I can put that to you. Ray's asked that your work with apprentices is very impressive, but have you plans for supporting industry placements ahead of the T-levels launching in September?
So I guess as a business, we are looking into long-term placements. It initially doesn't appeal, if I'm honest. I think for me, until there's clarity around the progression of a T-level onto an apprenticeship, if they can progress onto a level 3 apprenticeship, then I think we would support T-levels. But if the only option at finishing a T-level is a level 4 apprenticeship, then we won't be offering T-levels. We will offer level 3 apprenticeships instead.
Perfect. Thanks for that. I think there's obviously a bit of work for us to do there in terms of looking at the outcomes of the T-levels. One from me, if that's all right. You mentioned sort of partnership, top tips and best practice. And I think you said you've been working closely with Thatcher's. I'd be quite intrigued to know sort of some of your top tips when it comes to recruiting remotely at the moment. Obviously, it's a bit of an uncertain circumstance for everybody, but there are plenty of employers that either are recruiting at the moment or will look to recruit ahead of September. So yeah, I wonder if you just had a couple bits of best practice to offer to those potential employers.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we did, and I'd like to say it was fully planned and thought through, but it was more out of necessity. We actually did a live stream a couple of weeks ago, last week. It feels like a lot longer ago. We did a live stream. We invited everybody that had applied to that live stream, and we had the Q&As. So it was a Teams rather than a Zoom, but a very similar, very, very similar setup. And we had about 115 people register onto that. We opened that up so parents could sit and watch as well with their children. And I think that had a very positive impact. Had lots of comments from parents, just feeding into that, understanding the process. But the outstanding thing for me, which was completely unexpected, was the amount they used that chat. Yeah, so if we look at this, you've got lots of interactions on the chat, but not many questions coming through. Well, we were online for about 40 minutes and we had over 150 interactions on that chat. And I think what it made me realize is that a lot of the younger people watching are much happier to type a question than they are to ask a question. And for us, we had people like you guys have, we had people dialing in from York, from Liverpool, from London, and it actually just as a stepping stone towards some of that kind of shortlisting and judging investment, an interest, anybody that didn't sign up and join that live feed, we took out of the recruitment process. So for us, it halves our recruitment shortlisting. Weird presenting to people you can't see. I'd just like to say that. But yeah, it was that is the one top tip I would do, is do a live feed, get it out there, advertise it with your local schools and your colleges, and tap into your key providers and promote it, and do a live feed explaining what opportunities you have, how it's structured, how it's supported, and what that actual apprenticeship looks like.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Becca. And everybody, if you have questions, please put them in the chat box, and we'll make sure that that they get asked to our guest speakers today. But Becca, honestly, can't thank you enough for that. Really, really insightful. So thank you. Really appreciated. So everybody, just moving on here, I'm going to introduce you to Eloquent Technologies. So I'm going to introduce you to David Ford, Scott Marshall, and Chris Buckman. Guys, if you would like to unmute and let us know your thoughts, that would be great.
Yeah, excellent, thank you. So I think everyone's probably heard of Wessex Water, and not that many people have heard of Eloquent Technologies. So, it might be a new organisation to quite a few people out there. And it is very odd giving a presentation to an audience that you can't see and trying to talk to people, so without any feedback. But yeah, let's see how it goes anyway. So yeah, we're quite a different organisation to Wessex. I think that sort of highlights one of Western's challenges. You know, they have to deal with a lot of different organisations with different requirements. I think the one thing that sort of brings us all together is the fact that we're all looking for exceptional people and exceptional talent at the end of the day. So we only use, sorry, I just closed the window. We only use Western for our apprentice schemes, etc. at the moment. We have used quite a few providers previously and had some good, bad and indifferent experiences really. But yeah, we've been really impressed over the last sort of 2 years or so how the guys at Western operate, and yeah, how closely aligned we've got to them. It's been a really good partnership. We've found some amazing people, you know, and we don't have the sort of scale that Wessex have got, but you know, just to give you a bit of a sort of an overview as to what we do really. You know, we're a leading UK provider of digital IT and infrastructure solutions. We provide a lot of security systems, server platforms, networks to multiple different sectors and sizes and shapes. I think it's been really interesting for us as an organisation over the last sort of 5 years, because IT sort of moved from this sort of, yeah, we need IT and it's important, to now it's like absolutely mission critical, especially, you know, since the COVID side of things started a couple of months back. You know, we've seen a huge demand for our services really, and it's been really great to have the you know, the apprentices and the younger talent that work with us, you know, to work, because they work with their team all the time, to help develop them, grow them. And you know, we started off with a bit of an even mix really. A lot of the team were very young, and we realised we needed to have some more mature people in the team, which we've done now, to add a bit of guidance, because we are a young company and we're growing quite quickly. And yeah, it's good to have a real balance of people and skills in the team. A lot of what we do is sort of mission critical systems, and you know, many organisations have seen sort of firsthand recently how sort of home working and decentralisation can improve productivity, and that's one thing we're really getting involved in at the moment, is, you know, what the new normal looks like, you know, and what is best practice for that, and how can we make use of this opportunity that we've been given really, you know. And I'm really not missing travelling at the moment at all. You know, it's amazing how productive you can be, and how much you can fit into your life really when you're not on the M5 all the time. But you know, we've been really lucky. You know, we've not furloughed anybody. You know, all the apprentices and, you know, everything that we're doing at the moment has stayed on course, and we're very, very fortunate for that really. You know, and for us, it's a big investment. You know, some of the people here, you know, we run some really big IT platforms and systems for large PLCs, and you know, you know, trying to get younger people into the mindset of developing software or working on managed services, the sort of scale of some of the customers we work for, it's really exciting for them. You know, it's not normal IT stuff, you know, a lot of it's exciting, sexy stuff, and people really want to be, you know, especially the apprentices, really involved with it. And we're really lucky with that, because then we get a really good selection of people that we can choose from. And you know, we have learned that we do have to be quite choosy with the talent out there, and really invest in the ones that you see are the ones that you can be really critical and to us, and you know, spend time with. So yeah, you know, I've also got two of my colleagues on here at the moment, Scott and Chris. Scott, are you there?
I'm indeed, David.
Excellent. Good day, sir.
Hello. Hi, everybody. How are we? Just from our perspective, as I say, just as an organisation, just wanted to sort of share sort of our values and culture a little bit. So you know, just start with just to share our mission statement, and it's on the wall for anybody that's looking at the video. It's on the wall behind Dave there, and it is plastered across the office to make sure it's reinforced all the time. You know, we're very much around developing ourselves and helping our customers develop. So our mission statement is to innovate and implement mission critical technology solutions enabling our customers to focus on their core business, whilst nurturing talent and changing the landscape of traditional IT. And hopefully, a little bit in there around the nurturing talent, you'll understand the why that revolving around our engagement with Western College. So one of our challenges over the 10 years that we've been going is actually finding hungry, talented people to nurture. We're always looking to people eager and willing to try, but we think we're quite different, and we understand that this isn't a quick win. This isn't taking a youngster or a younger person and putting them into a role and expecting them to deliver on day one. We very much look at this as long term. We want to engage with younger people. We want to guide them, but that guidance needs to be very much in their best interests first. Obviously, where their interests and our interests align is absolutely where everybody wins, and it's really, really important to us. It's very much a way of providing real world personal experience to these children, young adults, in a safe learning environment. But like David said, actually getting their hands on real world work with real customers, and getting used to what the bigger, wider world looks like post college, post university. We've been really fortunate. We've had several students over the last couple of years, and they've been an absolute pleasure. They've provided real value to us. They've provided real value to our customers, which is something that's really important to us. They've also been really hungry to grow and develop themselves from a personal perspective, and that's probably the most pleasing thing. They're not just sitting there turning over and hoping that they get a piece of paper and a qualification at the end of it. They really want to find themselves. I think we've all been there at 16, 17, 18 years of age. You're trying to find your own place in the world and your own personality. It has been a little bit intriguing at some points. I think the generational difference in music through our DJ of the day has been quite interesting for some of us older ones. I've listened to some of the things that the younger ones like to listen to. But as a business, we're very much your DJ of the day. It's your choice of music, and nobody's allowed to interfere with it. So, probably the best win from our perspective, we've actually just employed on a full-time basis one of our recent placements. So Sam joined us back at the start of January, and he was working with us 2 days a week as part of his BTEC Extended Diploma in Computing. Primarily working alongside our software development team, which we've got in-house. He got involved in lots of different projects, and then one day actually overheard that we were a little bit short of engineering resource for something completely different. And brave enough and confident enough in his own ability to stick his hand up and say, I don't mind going on site and helping. And he actually spent 2 or 3 days out on site with customers, interacting with them on something that he'd never touched before, alongside some of our senior engineers. And he came back just full of enthusiasm the following week, and really, really want to do that again. Sam's course is sort of just finished, and he's glad to say he's passed as far as everybody knows at this point in time. But we've been that impressed with him over sort of 3 or 4 months, so we actually offered him the full-time role. So once he's had final sign-off from the college, he'll actually be joining us as a junior support engineer, but very much working across all of the different teams in the business, so he gets a real broad understanding. He's yet to decide whether he's going to university. So what we've done is we've taken him on a short-term fixed, a 1-year fixed contract, and given him the opportunity then to make that choice. We've spoken to him, we've spoken to his parents, and we've spent time understanding what his drivers are. And short term, they align with ours, which is absolutely brilliant. And then his choices will determine where we go from there. So that was a real win from our perspective. We've also, over the last sort of couple of weeks, we had some feedback from one of the other placements that we had. So Chris, you share James's feedback. So I thought this was again just something nice to share.
Yeah, I can share that. So James was asked to put his thoughts together, having just finished his year-long placement with us. And James wrote, My experience at Eloquent was nothing short of excellent. I felt welcomed, supported and challenged for the duration of my time there, both as a developer as an employee. Whilst the program experience itself was amazing, my time also revealed aspects of myself and my work that I needed to improve. I was regularly checked up on and encouraged to do so. The placement has been an absolute vital part of my education for the past year. I feel like it has helped me grow, not only as a developer, but also as a person.
Thanks for that, Chris. I mean, just as a point note, I promise we didn't coach him there into that feedback. We didn't even know that was actually forwarded on by Ray. So that was actually James's feedback to the college that was then forwarded on to us. Again, just a real win for us as an organisation. Really nice to hear that that's the feeling of some of these younger people. But actually, and most importantly, and Becca will absolutely agree with us here. It's a win for these young people to feel like that and to go in, have that confidence and grow as people, which is really important. Our partnership with the college has just gone from strength to strength and will continue to. The team at the college, if anybody is thinking about using them that doesn't at the moment, we can't, as an organisation, recommend them highly enough. They're really flexible. They're really quick to help support not only us as an organisation, but as the students. Again, which is the really key thing. So, I think that was it from us, David. Any closing thoughts?
No, it's just so rewarding for us personally to get feedback of students that we've had a real impact in developing their lives. It's fantastic. So, yeah.
Honestly, guys, thank you so much for this. We do have a few questions in the chat box, and in the chat box as well, there's quite a few people asking about information regarding T-levels and placements, etc. So Simon Bone, who heads up our industry placement team, on the 15th of July, he will be hosting one of these Wednesday working lunches, and that's when he'll be going through quite a bit of detail about T-levels and what's coming up and the changes within education. Again, guys, honestly, thank you so much. So, Joe, I was just wondering if you could ask some of the questions that have come up in the chat box.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Lauren. So, David, Scott, or Chris, it's up to you who wants to field these. But I'll start with Ray's question, who you're familiar with. Ray's asked, can I ask, how do you easily deploy, change, manage and secure an IT platform for a remote worker? There, touching on the remote work that you've mentioned.
I'm on mute. Yeah, schoolboy error. I was on mute then. Sorry, guys. I think probably best way to answer that is to give you an example of something that's happened recently. One of our local manufacturer, Powermatic, they've been operating as a manufacturer, but obviously a lot of their office staff, they wanted to move remotely. We implemented a desktop as a service solution for those guys, and sort of managed that organisational change to enable them to fully remote work and have complete flexibility. But it's interesting to see how a lot of organisations that I'm talking to at the moment are looking at changing their traditional office space and how it's used moving forward. Being able to be a lot more flexible and having more sort of landing spaces. So you might, as a team, you might be together for 2 or 3 days a week, and then may have 2 or 3 days working in a home environment or another office. So there's nearly everybody that I speak to at the moment is looking for more flexibility in the way their IT is delivered and provisioned. So yeah, that's the main theme from a lot of conversations I'm having at the moment.
Real, and it'll be interesting to see how it all does unfold over the next few months for yourselves. Yeah. Another question from Jane Dean. She said, "Hi David, how have you been helping customers to prepare for the new normal?"
Yeah, I think obviously there's a huge reliance on sort of network connectivity. you know, and using things like collaboration tools like Zoom, what we're using at the moment, Teams, you know, some hardware with a lot more mobile devices, tablets, laptops, you know, and training people in how to, you know, effectively use these sort of new systems, instead of just sort of, you know, making do, as some people are at the moment. I think one of the biggest changes there is security. When you've got a lot of remote workers with all different endpoint devices, how do you secure that down? And we've seen a massive increase in cyber attacks to, you know, a lot of our customers, which is putting a lot of strain on security platforms in particular, you know, and that's something that, you know, I think has been overlooked to a certain degree as people panicking and rushing to try and get to a remote environment and just try and get back working again. You know, there's a lot of security issues around that and how to stabilise things. So yeah, that's a lot of the conversations we're having at the moment are around that. Now things have settled down, you know, how do you lock things down, how do you secure things, and yeah, keep the bad guys out, really.
Brilliant, thank you. There was another one that's come in from Ian, and the question is, how do you buddy up the apprentices, and how do you support and mentor the younger students? So really a question about, you know, how you as an employer support these people in the workplace.
Yeah, sure. Chris, is that something you want to pick up on?
Yeah, so with all the students, we buddied them up with a senior developer, so that they were never working alone. They went through the same mentoring process as all of our other employees. So they had regular one-to-ones. They were given their regular 3-month reviews. But we run a stand-up meeting every morning where the whole team comes together, and everybody then highlights what they'll be working on that day, whether they've got any problems. So the students were part of that. They were encouraged to, you know, let everybody know what they were working on. We actively encouraged our students to take ownership of their work. We gave them a project to work on, obviously with a senior developer, but it was very much, this is your piece of work, and you know, you have to take ownership of it and manage it. So they were very much encouraged to, you know, look after their workload and highlight any problems they had, and then there would always be a developer there to help them.
I think, Chris, just to add to that, and you know, just from our perspective, and you know, just as a general comment, really, it's really, really important. And again, Becca touched on this earlier, around the live chat with the live stream that you did, Becca. Really, really important to encourage these kids to have a voice. You know, especially the younger people. You know, they are used to the generation of typing questions, things like that. But actually, you know, making them talk is actually quite a key thing for them from a development perspective. I was an apprentice myself at GDC, and I 25 years ago couldn't hide behind technology. So if I had to ask a question, I had to go and ask it properly. And it was very, very nerve-wracking with people that were 20, 30, 40 years older than me at the time. But actually, it brought a lot to me as a person at that point. So it is really, really important to encourage these young people to talk and listen, you know, which we could all do more of, to be honest.
Brilliant. Thanks, Scott. So I think just one final one from me, if that's okay. You sort of mentioned James's experience and read out almost the testimonial to yourselves as an employer, which speaks volumes about yourself. So congratulations there. And equally, I think it says a lot about the learner and his attitude. But my question would be, there was a lot mentioned on obviously the benefits to the learners there around their industry placement that they undertook. But what are the benefits to you as an employer in terms of offering that?
You know, it is giving back as well, you know, but for us, you can mold and develop that person. You know, they're not bringing in bad habits, you know, because they're young and fresh and excited and committed, you know, and that journey might last 18 months, 12 months, it might last, like, we've got some apprentices that's like 6 years or so. So, and it's just, yes, you have to invest in these people at the first part of the journey, and it is a significant investment, and you have to trust them. But then they would pay you back over the years and also just seeing how they grow and develop, and just it's a great thing to be an instrumental part of someone's journey. So yeah, we benefit, our customers benefit, and obviously the students benefit, stroke become employees at that point, as a lot of them do. So yeah, that's how we perceive it, really.
Great.
Brilliant.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate your input today. So I can, I've just seen the time, and obviously we are we're pretty close. So very quickly, I just wanted to give you all a bit of an insight to what our employers here at Western College, what they've been requesting from us in regards to more information and in regards to what they're currently going through at the moment. So these are kind of here on this screen, these are almost like our trending industry requests at the moment. So we're getting a lot more inquiries regarding industry placements. So that there is an option where a student, a learner can come into your business and actually, very regularly become part of the team, and that there is, it's not at any cost. What we're also finding is another part of our provision that we deliver is called a sector-based work academy. Now we've got sector-based work academies, and this is a recruitment option, but they're mainly being delivered at the moment in health and social care, construction and warehousing, as you can imagine. Distance learning packages, what we're being requested, what's the requests that are coming in there are, we've just launched a COVID-19 response distance online learning course. And basically that is getting individuals trained to ensure that they are responding appropriately to COVID-19. So it's, how you clean and sanitize a specific workspace. And the requests coming in from this course are growing and growing. We also have as well the mental health and the lean management. There are kind of our biggest spikes at the moment. The commercial training that's being requested, again, the mental health first aid, the requests there are quite high. And then with over at the construction training centre, we've been able to deliver some provision that's gone online, and that's gone really well. So that's being able to deliver Site Safety Plus and some driver CPD remotely. Apprenticeship wise, we're finding that we're getting more inquiries regarding leadership and management. So just being aware that actually in the future, when people do restructure businesses, etc., what they're thinking of here is using apprenticeships to upskill members of staff that previously may not have had such a management or leadership role responsibility. And then again, response to redundancy packages and traineeships is another area of business that we're being asked to supply information for. So I just wanted to share that with you because I think it's really interesting, just of a bit of a reflection about what's going on out there within industry. So really quickly, next week. So we've got a guest speaker coming up next week who is going to talk about enabling a mindset to growth. So this is Rich Cook. Becca, I know you know Rich quite well. And again, the feedback regarding Rich has been really positive, but he's going to talk about, exactly this, mindset, emotional intelligence, about being able to adapt, being more innovative, about resilience and collaboration. So I'll send out an email post this session with the links if you'd like to join us for next week's session. So does anybody have any questions, any comments before we finish today? Again, Joe, if you're monitoring the box, that Okay, so we've got a question from Vicky Robbins here. I'm wondering if any of the employers have any experience of apprentices who have SEND. and what type of problems that they encountered, and if they have any success stories they could share.
Do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Becca.
Yeah, so we this year's intake, well, when I say this year's 2019 year's intake of apprentices, we actually do a bit of a poll to see, and we have about 10% of our apprentices with hidden learning disabilities, so disabilities including obviously dyslexia and autism. And what we found is it's about talking to that young person and saying, what support do you need, and what does your ideal look like? And then it's about working with the managers. We do a lot of pen pictures that we share with the relevant managers, obviously GDPR and sensitively, but we've found that actually, just being honest, we do have a specialist within our early careers advisor. We're very lucky. Nancy has got a background in supporting people with autism, but it is actually, there is one of the flexible learning courses on the college's website is about understanding autism and working with people with autism, and I would thoroughly recommend it for anybody who wants to take on a wider, diverse workforce, or already has and wants some kind of methods and solutions.
Brilliant, thanks, Becca. A really good solution there. So yeah, again, guys, any other questions that anyone would like to ask right now? Brilliant, thank you, Lizzie. If not, thank you so much for logging on. Thanks for your time, and it'd be really good to see you all next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.